Good morning, good afternoon, power hitter, solar warrior tribe. Today is Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022. My name is Jarrett McAllister, your mentor and co-host, alongside my brother in arms, Mr. Jonathan Brunasso. How are you, brother?
I'm great. I'm having a good week. You know, November's a little slower, it gets dark early, and happy early Thanksgiving to everyone out there.
Absolutely. Happy Thanksgiving. And the fact that it gets darker and it's slower, that's all in your head, player. It's all in your head, right? We don't let those excuses get in our way. We're crushing it.
Absolutely. Speaking of crushing, you got any success stories out there?
I do. You said we need to do this quickly, so I'm not going to ramble off all the thousands I have. But yeah, Iselia, you got one? Let's roll.
Yes, I'm really excited. Cynthia, I've been shadowing her, so she gave me a loan office. Anyway, so I have a realtor. His name is Waleed, and so we did 3 presentations. We closed a big system yesterday, 22 kilowatts with a battery, and then we're going to close 2 more cash deals. So I'm really, really excited, and I mean, it's just awesome. I thought I was going to slow down in November. I was going to take a break, but no, I'm really busy. Yeah, so
girl,
anyways,
you might need to buy me some Starbucks.
Yeah. I have to take you to dinner.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Nice work,
Sushi
lady.
date.
Cynthia and Isela, you guys have a training on Thursdays at 10 a.m. normally?
Yes, normally, but we're dark this week.
Sounds good. All right, awesome job, ladies. Lending, mortgage, real estate, guys, as you just heard, Isela's closing a few deals for a lender, probably making 10, 12, 15 grand off those 3 deals alone. So that is the industry to go after right now. Anthony Bonilla, what's up, sir?
Good morning. So last week I had 2 personal sales. One was through Zoom, and the second one was my second in-person appointment this year. So I actually do get out of the house sometimes. Feels great. And tomorrow, my wife and I are expecting our newborn daughter to be born. So we're excited for that.
Congrats, Anthony. A very thankful Thanksgiving and good week for you guys. Good to hear from you and see you. Eric Goldstein, the San Diego man, myth, legend, biohacker extraordinaire. What's up, sir?
What's up, Brunasso? Yeah, so I think by the end of today, in the last week, I'll have 5 personal projects done. And thanks for you for inspiring me to take on BNI last year. I actually took on the president role this year as well. And 3 of those sales out of the 5 will come from BNI referrals. So
that's awesome, Eric. Glad to hear it. BNI networking, or other of you like Cynthia and Jeff Hugh are in team networking. Those exclusive networking groups are really paying off. I did it for over 2 to 3 years, and it's truly changed the trajectory of my business as well. All right, I just want to do a quick share. You know, yesterday I took the time to deliver a bottle of 1942 to a police officer. Police officers refer you. It's literally like the 6th referral branch down. And I got to shake their hand and go to their house and learn about their gardening that they're so into. And then I visited another client, a senior, who I just walked in, sat on his couch, took pictures of the system, brought him a nice bottle of Jack Daniel's Frank Sinatra edition. And it just reminds me, guys, this is all about relationships, especially in the beginning. Relationship selling, building that rapport, getting to know them, that warm touch, you know, going to leave a yard sign, giving a gift. And it's just it was just such a great reminder of what we're really here to do. And what I miss doing so much is that quality time and building relationships with those people. Tom Cotter, do you have anything to share here? If you do.
Good morning. I sure do. I have a quote. When I started with Powur, I was like I had the same work schedule as I did when I had a boss. And I started thinking about that wasn't very much freedom. So I've got this quote from Jim Rohn. So he said, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much. So think about the freedom that we have in Powur to work the hours that we want to work, how little or how much that is, depending on what our goals are, And we actually can choose what time we get up every morning and what time we go to bed at night. So that's freedom.
Absolutely. No alarm going off, no boss to report to, no check-in schedule for 9 hours somewhere you don't want to be. No, thank you. Many of us are done with those days, never again. Love that, Tom. Thank you. All right, few quick updates and we'll hand it over. Sales month to date. Ubaldo, shout out on the team here, New Jersey. Stephen Reynolds on the team. Anthony Bonilla, is that you? Kicking butt here. So we're not done with November yet. So shout out to all of you guys. Referrals and recruiting. Some different people on the team here. My brother and Larry and Anthony B, crushing it. Mentor sales month to date. No surprise, Wally, great mentor. Robert H, Jarrett McAllister, shout out Jarrett, 5 deals mentors alone. Probably got some personals, probably got some residual income, probably kicking butt. JC, Juan Rangel, nice work, my friend. Joel Gossett and Javier here on the team as well. Closing those mentor deals, 50-50. Congrats to you all. Some future trainings real quick. Today's training, as always, every Tuesday. This 24th of November, happy Thanksgiving. And then on Monday, JC always does a 10 a.m. team training, which is fire. Write down the Zoom link if you want to attend. Also, every Monday, we have a Power Hour business call. Last night I did one. We can get that recording, and there'll be another one this Monday to invite guests into. Never stop inviting. Tuesday next week, we're going to have a great training lined up for you to be announced. And like you heard Isela and Cynthia, Women of Power with Marisa, solarwithmarisa.com. Write this one down every Thursday, 10 a.m., solarwithmarisa.com. And if you're new here, onboarding calls every Thursday, 12 and 5 Pacific. All of this and more is mostly on powercalendar.com. So get familiar with that. There's so many new trainings there. Put some on your calendar, guys. Attend them in the next few weeks. Make this your business. Wednesday, 12/7, block off 9 a.m. to 1 Pacific. Masterclass CEO call once a month. We get to hear from Jonathan Budd. And then we have an in-person Power Day across the country. Many trainings are going to be going on in different states. So get with your leadership and check Power Calendar. December 10th on Saturday, we're doing it in person. There's a leadership summit, January 12th and 13th. That one's going to be awesome. I'll show you the requirements for that right now. In a second, we're going to have a virtual 2-day convention in February. I think those dates have been announced already. And then late summer, we can expect the Power World in-person 2-day epic event in San Diego, I believe. And then JC hosts an amazing mentor factory. That should be October of next year as well. Is a little bit fuzzy, but sorry. Leadership Summit, January 12th to 13th. Who can go? Tier 3 sellers with at least 5 sales in the past 3 months, or if you're on the top 50 leaderboard in any category in the past 3 months. We expect about 150 of the top leaders in the country to be flying out to this event in San Diego. It's $5.99. They're literally bringing in speakers to train us, 2-day event, leadership dinner and entertainment, some keynote speakers, working lunch, and a lot more. So go to power.solar/leadership summit. All right, real quick, last thing here, 5-star review mania. They've been sending out emails on this. Shout out to Tom Cotter here, getting some reviews. Hallie Parks, Ramsey Clark. I'm going to just share what this is about. It's getting a review on Better Business Bureau or Yelp. You can get a $50 Amazon gift card if you submit a review. Let me go ahead and get you guys this URL in the chat here. Submit a review, ask your clients to go ahead and leave a review for you, include your name and say what they like. and you can get a $50 gift card. And the top 3 people that get the most reviews can win an all expenses paid trip to the Leadership Summit in January. So I finally took hold of this yesterday. And here's a script that I could share with you. I mean, type your own, but I texted a few customers yesterday. Happy early Thanksgiving. Can you do me a quick favor? Mind leaving me a quick note on Better Business Bureau? Pretty please. And if you can put my name and Powur did a good job, etc. Would really appreciate it. And I did say we have a contest for reviews night now. And then I gave them the link. And multiple people left a review. Maybe they just got their first bill and they're excited. Maybe they just got their install. Maybe they just got their fat rebate check in the mail. Maybe they got their $1,000 ambassador referral check. That's the perfect time to ask them to help you out and do a favor and leave you a review. And I'm going to get hundreds of dollars on that review. Tom, any tips on this? I know you got some reviews in here. How did you ask your clients?
Yeah, I've got some software that I shared with the team a couple weeks ago that just emails them and asks them to leave a review. But I think the main thing is just have it a part of your process where with every installation, you know, you're asking for reviews multiple times later on afterwards. You know, get their Enphase or SolarEdge login, you know, 3 months after they're installed. Look at your proposal about what was supposed to be generated as far as kilowatt hours that month. Look at their monitoring, send them an email, you know, and also ask for a review. So give to get.
Good
For those of you
advice.
in BNI, there's something about giver's gain.
Yeah, if you're in a BNI or team networking, you should ask your team to leave a professional review for you as well. All right. We have a very important topic. Tom, you'd like to introduce our speaker in this topic and why it's so important for us?
Sure. Yeah. Cotter Lavin is here with us. He's the membership director at California Storage and Solar Association. I still want to say California Solar Association, Carter. It's like ingrained in me.
We have batteries to it, man. Batteries are way of the future.
I know. Carter has been in solar since 2006. He's a huge benefit to this organization, CALSSA. You know, membership has more than doubled under his leadership and management. So he's responsible for helping solar and storage businesses get politically engaged and plugged into CALSSA's policy work, regulatory resources, and a network of how many members now, Carter?
720 member companies. So Powur counts as one. Yeah, so there's a lot of folks out there. That's just the tip of the iceberg.
So for those of you who are here, whether you're live or watching the recording later on, this is going to be super helpful because over many years, the utilities have been trying to make going solar for homeowners less attractive so that they can have more solar, so that they can have price control and still make their profits. California loves solar, but it's up for debate right now about whether the utilities are going to be the ones that have most of the solar or whether consumers are going to be able to affordably have solar for their homes and their businesses. So the policy for solar in California is changing, and Carter is going to talk about what that proposed decision is and what each of us can do this week and next week and the following weeks before December 15th to help ensure that your customers get the most savings as possible and can actually save any money at all in going solar. So Carter, that was a trip down net metering lane right there.
Yeah, no.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to put up some slides if we want to do that. I don't know if you how you all typically do your thing.
Yeah, please share your screen, Carter. You should be.
Okay, great. Let's see that. Okay, so hey, and we got a lot of folks here today. And it was great to have the intro of folks from all over the state, all over the country. And I appreciate the reminder that this is being recorded. I will watch my language because I got very strong feelings on this topic. So a quick show of hands, or doing the hand raise thing. Who here, this is the first time they're getting a presentation about NEM3?
Or type it
This
in the
is
chat.
totally new.
First time.
Type in the chat if this is your first. If you're like, cool, Carter seems nice, he seems very charming. What's this whole NEM thing? Okay, great. So we do have some newbies here. I appreciate that. It's great that Powur brings so many folks into the world in this. Okay, a lot of first timers. So to start at the beginning, fundamentally, when you're talking to homeowners, the foundational way that you help save them money is they are offsetting their electric bill. They go solar, they pay the utility less money. A big part of how that works is when that homeowner is making more power at any particular moment than they need, they're running the meter backward, they send it back to the utility, and when they need more power, they get credited. That is net metering. That is the lifeblood of this industry here in California. That is the foundational policy. So anytime you talk about like spinning a meter backwards or getting credits on your bill, all that stuff is net metering. That is not a constitutional right. That is not a unchangeable fact of the world. That is a policy that we as the solar lobby got passed many years ago, and is the backbone of the industry. For the last, and as you can imagine, there are people who are not happy with the success of solar and the success of folks like you. And so one of the best ways to do it, to undermine the success of solar, is for utilities to lower their prices and offer a better product and outcompete you in the marketplace. Obviously, that's not what's happening, though. They decided that's a lot easier to outcompete you politically by basically changing the foundational policy that solar relies on to make it so you can't succeed. So this is the kind of third, and it's basically every like 5-6 years, there's one of these big epic struggles. So this is the third round of this, NEM3. So that brings us to basically today, or the last 2 years, to get people caught up. So a little bit about what's timing. So last week or 2 weeks ago on November 10th, the Utility Commission of California put out their revised proposal. Last year, the proposal that they put out would have shrunk the industry about basically 80%. That proposal had taxes on new solar customers. That proposal had hits on existing solar customers. So you would all had to go back to your past customers and say, hey, that contract you signed, I'm really sorry. The Utility Commission, changed the rules. And it had a lot of much lower value of solar instantly, overnight. So that initial proposal from December of last year, absolutely terrible. We as an industry, Powur, a lot of you all, got loud, protested, made a lot of noise. We got some changes won, and I'll talk about it. The final vote on this new NEM3 thing is on December 15th. So that is coming up real soon. And so a big part about what came out in the new proposal is, one, there's no more solar tax. That thing, we won. So good job, team. We showed up in a big way, a lot of red signs like this. We did marches across the state. We did a lot of ads, a lot of everything to really drive this point home. So we got that changed. So there's no more solar tax. There's no more fee if you get solar. Additionally, there's no more retroactive changes. So we protected past customers. We got that changed by the Utility Commission. That's not in that proposal anymore. So that's a huge, huge change. That's a huge victory on that. So the 1.5 million Californians who already have solar, they're protected. So what this means, though, is that our pushing is working. That our policies, like when we're going to rallies, when we're doing this stuff, that's making a difference. And we have, basically 3 weeks until the end, and so we need to really keep pushing through. You don't run to the finish line and then gently walk through it. You sprint through the finish line. And so on December 1st, we're doing 10 protests in 10 cities. So there's folks from all across California. I was hearing Oakland. Hey, Oakland, I'm in Oakland. We're doing stuff in San Diego, Los Angeles, Palm Springs. Bakersfield, San Luis Obispo, Fresno, San Francisco, Stockton, and Chico. So if you are within 100 miles of any of those cities, RSVP, come on out December 1st for 1 hour to help make a difference on that. And you all know lots of people, customers are invited, potential customers are there. We need people to drop what they're doing December 1st, come on out, because we need to make some changes. And for those who have a little bit of extra cash lying around that can help us, fundraise and donate, we have, basically we need to put up a lot of ads. We need to do a lot of stuff. It's, politics is expensive despite what everyone says. So anything you can chip in, some people individually are putting in $100. Some great companies are putting in tens of thousands of dollars. This is the future of solar. So I put some links in the chat. So let's talk about the bad stuff that's in it. So right now, and I had this slide deck geared to a slightly different audience, so sorry about that. So right now, when your customer gets solar, they get compensated, they get credited at the rate of, basically the price that power is at that moment. So if price is as 30 cents a kilowatt hour, and it's a Sunday, and it's a Sunday afternoon, and your customer is not there at their house, they're sending power back to the grid, and they're getting credited at about 30 cents a kilowatt hour. That's changing under NEM 3. The new thing is you will be credited at the specific export rate of that hour. There's 24 different hours in a day, and there's different profiles for days and months. So basically, there's 576 different values that you can get. And this is different by utility. So this is different if you're selling in Edison versus PG&E. So for those of you who sell to customers all across California, this is big for you. Your math is about to get real complicated. How complicated? This complicated. So this is a very colorful, very confusing chart. This is also, unfortunately, one of the most comprehensive ways of explaining this thing. The short version is the value of power changes pretty drastically in a given day and in a given month. And so when you're talking to customers, you can't say anymore under NEM 3, oh, you'll save 30 cents a kilowatt hour for anything for anything you're exporting to the grid. It's going to be, hey, it's noon on April, you're going to get about 7 cents if you're in Southern California, Edison, and you get about 8 cents in PG&E. There's going to be a lot of work from folks at Powur and other companies to try to simplify this so that, that Tom and Jarrett and everyone, when you're sitting down with the homeowner, that you do not have to walk through this. But this is the fundamental math. This is like the kind of the dirty code beneath all this stuff. And the big thing for you to see is that an export, the credit that your customers would get for any power they export is about 7 cents, more or less. It changes a little bit, but it's basically 7 cents. It's different for PG&E, different for San Diego Gas and Electric. So that's pretty bad. The Utility Commission has said to help kind of soften that transition from going to, basically 30 cents to 7 cents, that they're going to add these adders to people in PG&E and Edison territory to make it a little bit gentler of a transition. Those adders are about a penny per kilowatt hour. So basically, the value of solar under NEM 3, which is getting a vote on December 15th, is about to go down by like 60%, 70-something%. That's pretty radical. There is a 5-year phase-in of this, but the first step is what we've just talked about. It gets worse from there. So one of the big things, if we show up in force on December 1st in all these different cities across the state, if we put up a bunch of ads and we raise a bunch of money and kind of do the lobbying thing in a big way, is we can get a step down to be a reasonable thing over this 5-year period. So it's not going from 30 cents to 8 cents, that maybe it's 30 cents to 24 cents next year, and then 16 cents, so that, battery prices have an ability to go down, solar prices have an ability to go down, and that people can kind of get under that limbo stick a little bit easier. Because this is a really rough transition, and this is why we need to fight back hard against this. This is why we need you at those rallies on December 1st, and we need you donating CALSSA.org/donate Oops, someone's drawing up on a thing. I don't know who's doing that.
I'll try to clear
I
that.
skipped. Yeah, thank you. And then the other part, which is for a slightly different audience, your customers are going, once they go solar, they have to move to specific rates. So PG&E electric rate, things like that. And you might be seeing this and say, oh, wow, peak period, that's 52 cents a kilowatt hour. That's amazing. Peak period in California is basically when the sun goes down. So your customers are going to be offsetting their bill at the part peak or off peak. And that's, for their own consumption. So if you can line up your production with your consumption, that's great. If you can't, you're in trouble. So, the work that we've been doing has been working. We've, gotten a lot of the really bad stuff removed from this. There's still bad stuff we need to fight for, to remove. And so we need you at these rallies December 1st. We need you donating. These are on the lower right is a billboard that we put up. We send out mailers. We done TV ads. The more resources we have and the kind of money cannon that we can launch to fight back against these proposals, the better we're going to do. And so, this is a big audience. We got deep experts. We got people here for the first time. I tried to kind of speak to everyone's level. I cannot wait to see what questions folks have. So I don't know, Tom, if you want to kick them my way or however you want to do that.
Well, let me make sure Tom can unmute himself. And I actually do have a slide or two that I'd like to share real fast, perhaps. Maybe that'll be helpful. And then we could go into some Q&A and hopefully, Carter, you can catch anything. But sorry, give me 1 second to share this.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I found these somewhat helpful, guys. It's just a few bullet points I'll read off real quick. So thank you again so much, Carter, for being here and all that your organization does. It's truly amazing. As you said, the vote December 15th, that means NEM 3 could start by April 15th.
Correct.
You need a completed net metering interconnection application to the utility, which Powur thankfully does proactively often during the permitting process. I'm sure we'll get laser focused on this, but that doesn't mean it has to be installed to get that completed, submitted application to the utility. Let's see. And then I did hear something that if you were to add on a system greater than 10% of the size of the existing system, you would have to be forced to NEM 3.0. I think there's two metrics involved, but it's like 10% or larger.
Yeah, basically, if you're upgrading the system in any notable way, it's one thing to swap out a broken panel, that's fine. But if you're upgrading the system in any notable way, that kicks you from whatever NEM you're on, whether it's NEM 1, it puts you to the current thing. So the NEM 1 people who do it go to NEM 2. But yeah, the big thing is that we won 2 years ago was if you add a battery to an existing project, that doesn't change your NEM status.
Right. Yeah, that's good news. And just long story short, cutting the credits, up to 75%, and this will just almost double the payback period for solar alone, currently right now. And then here's a few more things as well. I'll share these in the chat, but I guess I just want to start off with two things. Some people were asking which utilities are affected versus municipalities. My understanding,
Sure.
PG&E, SDG, and SCE are the big three publicly traded, I guess. And
yeah, so those are the big utilities directly impacted by this. They're SMUD and LADWP. Those municipal utilities are self-regulated. They do it by a totally different mechanism, so they're not directly done by this. But if they see their big neighbors getting away with this, they might get some ideas. So
Absolutely.
This is that, and it's and for those of you who are outside of California, every utility in the United States is watching this unfold. Every utility is trying to see can the utilities of California get away with kneecapping the solar industry here? If so, this is going to come to North Carolina and Texas and all the other markets. They're going to try to run this exact playbook.
Also, I think there's something in there that says if the homeowner sells the home, which I wanted to ask you, do you know if it's just changing the name of the utility bill holder or selling the home? That new person will have to go to NEM 3, is my understanding.
Almost positive that's the case for, it's not necessarily NEM, if you're not changing the status, and we double check this, and things might change between here and December 15th, that it's the customer compensation rate might change, because the numbers on that big scary chart we were showing, that is like, you sign up for that for a 9-year period, basically. And if you change owners of the system, that particular number set changes. So that's complicated.
I had a question, Carter. The payback period that those numbers are factoring, is that without a battery, with battery, with one?
Yeah, so so they're assuming that you're selling at $3.30 a watt. That's what the customer is paying. So if you're not doing that, you're going to have a hard time. That they're doing a solar only at $3.30 a watt gets you about a 10-year payback period. If you add a battery, I think that goes up to like 11 or 12 years kind of thing. It is more or less that. Or if you do a battery, it gets, I think, a little bit lower, like a 9-year or something, but you just add $20,000 to the cost of the system. And so, you might be able to find a certain number of people, like, let's say if you get 100 people who are up for a $20,000 investment that has a 10-year payback, the number of people who want a $40,000 investment that has a 9-year payback is a smaller pool. And one thing I think is important to remember, 1.5 million Californians have solar already. I've been in solar since I was a teenager, and the people who were happy with 10-year paybacks went solar 5 years ago. Like there are people who had that thing, and so that's important to keep in mind how big this is. So Tom and Jonathan, there's like a lot of questions that came through, a lot of people raising their hands. I think it might be easiest if you guys just want to like.
Rolando has a question.
Yeah, if you want to ask the
Then
good
we'll
ones, so I don't have to
Then we'll
keep,
get to the chat. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Rolando, go for it.
Thank you for the presentation. So for the sake of simplicity, you mentioned the lobbying, you mentioned the rates that may change. So question number one is, are we at a cross section of battling a yes or no decision? Meaning if this doesn't get approved, do we continue with NEM 2.0? And then when you mention lobbying, considering this is big money being moved here, this is people's lives at stake, because some people might not continue working in solar. I'm assuming that there's a lot of money coming in from this, I think CPUC or the other party. Now, when you mention lobbying on the solar side, who is receiving that money? Are we talking about directly politicians? Who are we talking about, and where does our potential contributions go to?
Yeah, so to your first question, so it is not a yes, no. The thing that's going to happen between now and December 15th is what can we change from the NEM 3 proposal? The most likely thing that could get changed is getting a gentler glide path, so it's not this huge shock treatment. If they can slow that process down so it's not going to that 9 cents starting in April, we'll have an easier time. That's the big thing that's going to change. And then on December, like that will change before, probably December 14th or 13th, like they'll put out a new update. December 15th is when the vote's going to be, and that's from the 5 utility commissioners. They're going to vote yes, no on the whole thing. There's a slight chance they make some changes from the actual board meeting itself. But this thing is very likely to go through. It would be a huge repudiation over 2.5 years of work that their commission put in. So it's not going to be voted down. NEM 2 is not going to continue. There is NEM 3. The question is what is in that package. To your point about lobbying, so I am being recorded. That is a thing that's good for me to remember, because CALSSA, we are the voice of the solar industry. We are the solar lobby. So like a chamber of commerce or the solar NRA or whatever, what have you, like I'm big solar. That's who we are. We have 9 people on staff. So there's a couple of different things. The link that I put out is the net metering defense fund. That money helps us do things like put on these big rallies, getting permits, printing signs, all that stuff is expensive. putting up billboards, all that stuff is expensive, costs some money. And that helps us, get the word out. Because I think, a lot of you folks here work in solar, and this is, some of you were saying this is your first time hearing about this thing. Your neighbors and your customers don't know about this. And the big thing is the governor of California, Governor Gavin Newsom, has the ability, has the power to basically step in and say, hey, commission, go easy on the industry. Like, hey, commission, save solar. What are you doing? This is catastrophic. But the governor is not going to step in a big way again. And we've got him to step in before, but he's not going to step in a big way if he thinks everyone's happy with this. If he thinks this is all hunky dory, why would he go out of his way to do it? And so it's on us, it's on you, it's on me, it's on Joe and Ray and everyone here to get really loud and make sure our neighbors know about it, our customers know about it, strangers know about it, and that the governor sees that solar is immensely popular. And he's not going to see that unless there's, billboards up and ads up and people on the streets on December 1st. So we need you December 1st.
That sounds really great, but the thing is that we're like, it's constantly reaching out for an extra identity or extra entity or authority to, I'm gonna just say, it really sounds like a social movement all over again, where we ask somebody else to take care of us. And this is really at the point where it's like, I mean, I have an agency myself, and I'm just thinking like, what are a lot of my agents going to do if, let's say, this drastically cuts us down? So is there any way we can have a more direct and immediate action as far as like maybe a potential lawsuit or something like this? Because I've been in city hall meetings, and when you have a commissioner that is directly connected to the industry, it just doesn't make sense. It's kind of like asking a bully to punch you softer. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So there's security through strength. So, when I first started at CALSSA 7 years ago, we had 300 member companies. The industry was not that organized. We are a stronger political entity than we've ever been. The solar industry itself, we are more unified and louder, and that gets us strength. That gets us a lot greater ability to show up and win political battles. This year, we as a solar industry, while we were doing all these protests and Rick Joseph, who's out sick, helping us put on this big thing in San Luis Obispo and all this stuff. We also got a law passed to streamline residential solar permitting. So that's instant online permitting, not over the counter, it's online. Like, we are able to both do this defense and do this offense and get that done at the legislature. The California Public Utilities Commission, which is a government agency, that is not the Utilities Commission. I think there's some confusion on that. They're responsible to the will of the people and to the governor. It's our job to say, here's what the will of the people is, and let's get loud. Looks like, Bill, I want to kick the question to you. I see your hand up.
Hey, Carter, thanks.
Hey, man.
Hi, how you doing today?
Good seeing you.
I just wanted to review the question, how much power does the governor have? Does he have complete power to he's not going to squash it, right? Obviously,
Yes.
because of all that's gone forth. But I mean, can he really affect it substantially, where we will see not the harm that we're going to see?
Yeah, so this is not literally going across his desk. It's not like a law where he can veto or not veto. But he is the governor of California. This is a bureaucracy that reports to him. This is his, this is frankly his decision. This is, it's like, this is okay. I really appreciate reminding them being recorded. I have lots of metaphors I use and normally lots of cursing, but it's like, how responsible are you for your child's actions type thing? Like, the commission, they're independent, they're adults, they're doing their own math and things like that. The governor appointed them, they talk to each other. So there's definitely that. And then in the meantime, we as CALSSA have obviously been filing hundreds of pages of documents, expert testimony, part of the legal case. Like, there's that whole other universe of that fight that I'm not boring you with the details of that because it's frankly really boring. But it's very important work. But this is now the time where, frankly, the way that we win is, again, just super loud and December 1st. And the good news is I'm good at being loud, and you all seem like you're pretty good at being loud and social too.
Awesome. Owen Carey.
Yeah, sorry. So I got two questions here. I mean, the utilities of California, PG&E, whatnot, obviously we hate what they're doing. I'm just wondering, as I saw in other states, there's other states that give incentives. So is it possible that maybe the state of California hops in and gives an incentive for people to get solar. For example, South Carolina, you get a tax credit back from the state of South Carolina. California, you get squat. So I'm wondering if the utilities are facing, and in my opinion too, as somebody who lives in Sonoma County, lots of fires blamed by PG&E, which is justified, but it's also Mother Nature, and a state that doesn't give anything back for infrastructure. It's kind of embarrassing. Anybody who's not in California, you come to our roads, it looks like a third world country. I'm just wondering, when is the state going to jump in to give an incentive to the people if we're going to let the utilities run amok?
Yeah, so, oh my God, such a good question. To be clear, California almost passed a solar tax this year. That was in this proposal from the Utility Commission, was that. The state of California is not doing any rebates. The state of California is this close to taxing people who go solar. So the other states out there, South Carolina, all these places that do rebates, like, I mean, I got started in solar 2006 in Maryland, SREC, stuff like that. And frankly, like, I'm going to just be really blunt with you all. In California, the solar industry is a huge market. It's a multi-billion-dollar market, tens of thousands of people work in it. 200,000 people went solar each year. We are a big flipping industry. We are real and we are powerful, and that terrifies the utilities because now we are a viable alternative to that. So when there's the forest fires in California and PG&E says, hey, governor, hey, folks, like, we'll stop the forest fires if you give us billions of dollars to underground power, and here's what the electricity system should be. And we as a solar industry could say, like, or what if everyone has solar and batteries and we have this decentralized grid and the utilities aren't so needed? And we're showing that works, and that's really scary to a utility who hasn't had real competition in a century. But for the other states out there, South Carolina, other markets, like, the utilities aren't scared of solar there. Like, there's not enough solar for that to be threatening to the utility market. What we've seen in Arizona and Hawaii and Nevada and other states is that when the solar industry stops being cute and starts being large enough to be threatening, the utilities stomp on it as hard as they can. And in California, PG&E and the other utilities keep trying to stomp on us. But because we are politically powerful, because we are organized, because we show up to these rallies, because we're donating, because we're all talking and spreading the word, we are able to continue to survive and win and get fights done that, like, at the same time, on January 1st, a victory of ours that we planted 3 years ago comes to fruition, of every new commercial building has to have solar. That is a $500 million market going live January 1st. So at the same time we're under attack, we're also winning other fights, and it's because we're strong, and that's how you do it. But yeah, other states, I think if you're the Texas utilities right now, you're watching this and you're thinking, oh shit, oh shoot, if I let our solar industry get too big, oh wow, that's cute. Powur made however many sales in Texas. It's a big state. It's like, okay, well, 200,000 people in Texas go solar in a year. Texas utilities are going to be like, okay, hey, so governor, we need to change some rules a little bit. So yeah.
Also, my final question here, even though I have a lot, we've been facing a person with Powur, with PG&E coming back out with this retroactive rules of like the way we connect to main service panels, changing the gas rules and everything like that. Is CALSSA doing anything about that? Because personally, it's kind of some BS.
Yes.
And we have Zinsco panels. We used to be able to replace them like for like, but now we can't do that.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, are you guys stepping in to actually help us on some of these Green Book rules?
Yeah, so we work a lot on the interconnection nitty gritty bits. One of my personal favorite ones was on like fire code and permitting of like how close can you put batteries to each other. It was a whole flipping thing, and we like got the state to step in and make some new rules. So yeah, there's, as much as there's these big epic sagas that we're doing, we also do the knife fight. My personal favorite that we've ever done was residential solar installer was getting a $4,500 permit fee for a 5 kW system, and it was like, oh, there's just a typo. The permit was supposed to be $450, and the building department just refused to back down, and so we stepped in and got that fixed. So yeah, we're doing all sorts of things like that. But we are 9 people on staff. There are more people in, not even just this call, there are more people in this Zoom screen that I can see. So when we talk about your dollars going far, we are able to really get a lot done with not that much. So the more we have, the bigger we can go.
Jarrett, go ahead.
All right. Hey, thanks, man. Hey, Carter, first of all, I want to say thank you for the work that you're putting in and, giving us a voice to fight this fight. I'll just say it's total bullshit. It's criminal what these utility companies are doing. I agree with what Rolando was saying. I mean, at some point we need to stop giving them the authority to tell us what we can do with us. If you think about it, we have solar panels on our home that we're purchasing that's generating electricity, and we're letting them dictate how much we get to use our own equipment. So I have a couple things to say about that. One, at what point do people just go no and start going completely off grid, start building these systems with batteries, big enough system with storage to get themselves off the grid? And then two, I do want to talk about solutions because it is looking like this is happening. It's just how hard they're going to punch us in the face, right? But let's talk about solutions. Like, what are we going to start? How is this going to shift? Because solar is not going to stop, right? We're going to continue pushing through. We're going to adapt. We're going to change. But now is it looking more like solar plus storage? That's your answer to this?
So there's a lot wrapped up in all that. So it's solar plus storage. I think if you do slightly smaller systems, so you're not exporting as much. So in Australia, the common thing is like 2 kilowatt systems. It's like, here's 4 panels, we'll put them on your roof, boom. And they just go for volume. Because, this issue, we're talking about net metering, we're talking about export rate. So if you never export because your system is 2 kilowatts on someone who otherwise would have done a 10 kilowatt thing, you're still offsetting the 30 cents that they would be using. So as long as you size that right, you can work out. So that's going to be like kind of what the escape hatch looks like, especially because we got the solar tax removed. So that's now possible. Battery prices need to come down, but I'm talking to battery manufacturers who are freaking out about this. And one reason why they want the glide path is because it takes 2 years to set up a factory. And so batteries are going to come onto the market. That's what the projects are going to look like. And yeah, people will doing zero export and things like that. But as you can imagine, so I'm glad people, since you all brought up the language about bullies, I feel more comfortable talking a little bit bluntly about this. And this would be a different conversation for just having a call, but because on YouTube, which I'm rarely recorded, so that's that.
Feel free, man. You're all good.
Yeah, this is just. But so let's put it this way: do you think PG&E is going to fire their lobbyists next year? Do you think PG&E is going to be like, "Hey, good job, you punched the solar industry in the face, you're fired"? No, they're going to say a grid defection fee is a thing that's been floated by utility lobbyists, which is if you go solar and you have your own battery and you're not contributing to the grid anymore, you have to pay a fee. And you may say, well, that's absurd. It's like, yes, but the big secret is just because something's absurd doesn't mean a government agency can't do it. This might be a huge shock to some of you. And so the way that we have a strong future, the way that we win fights and we get elected officials to pass laws to change this or to make other things easier is we have to be politically powerful. Because right now, there's folks on this call, folks who have a solar career who did not know about this net metering fight. And so why should your state senator go out of their way to pick a fight with the utilities who have been political juggernauts for a century to help out the solar industry if not even folks on this call know about it? And so this is why you got to talk to your folks. Like, every time I do something like this, someone says, oh, well, I hate that solar is political. One, toughen up. Life is political. Everything's political. You are fundamentally putting power into people's homes, taking power from the utilities and putting it into your community, into homes. That is profoundly political. That is all of what politics is who has the power. And so what we all need to do is we can't just say, oh, I made that sale, go have fun. We need to get our customers plugged into this, getting our customers signing up on the petition so that they get plugged in with the Solar Rights Alliance, the kind of solar customer version of this. That people are getting loud, that we as an industry are responding. Because, pick your lobby, pick your thing. If California were to try to outlaw almonds, every single almond farmer would be, circling Sacramento all the time because they show up and they know they're under threat. So this is on us. This is on you all. This is why we're here, to get the message out. And your job, great news is this is the skills you have. You are chatty, social people that people like to talk to. Talk to them about this, get them to sign the petition, get them to come out December 1st, throw some money into the pot so we can go bigger and bigger and bigger.
Thank you, Carter. I want to add for 2 minutes real quick, and we'll do a few more questions and try to wrap this up, everyone. It's something important to say. I do think that, Carter said there should be a glide path. It should be a step down gradually. We've seen this in other areas, and the fact that they're trying to do a 75% drop immediately, that's the big issue. Like, it will be tiered down. It's just at what amount. And so I just want to point that out. And then I know that Powur is working closely with you. We'll have options to donate out of some of our commissions. We'll be raising funds. So please keep an eye on your emails these next few days and this next week or two, team, because you will have opportunities to donate, participate, and even have a little bit come out of the commission to help fight this.
Yeah.
And then I just want to take a minute or two, everyone that's still on here before the top of the hour. Yes, we have to fight. Yes, we have to raise funds. Yes, this is bad. But let's pivot to sales for 1 minute, guys. You need to tell everyone you know in California about this immediately. Like, if they're trying to get an M2, they have to sign up now. Like next week, guys, by the end of the month or end of December, period. And they're not going to understand what the hell you're trying to tell them. So put it in layman's terms, like it's 75% less credits. But you should be putting this on social media 20 times till the end of the year. You should be texting and emailing all people you know that own a home or have a pulse in California. Literally, like it's our duty. Could you imagine if your relative could have solar paid off in 5 years with an M2 versus 10 years, 11, 12 years? Like, we have a right and a duty to share this with as many people as possible now, today. Like, go get those JPEG PDFs I just shared in the chat, type out what you need to type, put it on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. And again, every lead in the system you should be following up with drastically. This is so important from even just a sales perspective. We don't know how bad it's going to be, but we have a right. If it does pass, and some version will pass, you have to capitalize on this.
And here's a sales tip. So I'm the policy person, but I also used to sell commercial solar. So quick sales tip on this. Every newspaper in California is writing articles about this. And so when you're reaching out to your San Diego person, being like, hey, did you see the article in the San Diego Union Tribune about this? Here's the article. Now's the time to go solar. Hey, if you were putting this off till next year, don't. Check out this article. So they don't, so they're seeing the information from other sources. So if you're talking to someone in Fresno, pull up the Fresno Bee article. Just search that city, NEM3, solar, whatever, you'll find the article. There's a ton.
Beautiful. All right, let's do Justin and Tony. Justin, thanks for waiting.
Justin, you're muted. Or your
microphone. It's got to switch.
Sorry about that, guys.
Or
I
your lip
accidentally
syncing.
raised my hand.
Okay. Oh, Justin Feldman, I think it was. Can't hear you.
Justin,
lip reading is not that good.
Switch the microphone.
Hey, Carter, thank you so much. No.
Tony, let's go to you while Justin gets that figured out.
Yeah, I was just thinking like how I get the whole glide path thing, but if let's say there's a 5-year glide path to paying, buying our electricity at 5 cents from 26 cents, what good is that when the rate for PG&E by then will be 60 cents a kilowatt hour?
So the part about the glide path. So a key part to know is, let's say you go solar next year under NEM 3 on the first of the glide path, and we win it. So it's only, you get 20 cents for what you compensated. For 25 years, you were locked into that 20 cents. It's like you're signing up for vintage kind of thing. And if you go solar the next year, you get that lower thing. And so that helps people, like, they're not glide pathing, they're locking in. And as PG&E rates go up, you'd think that's that, but you're offsetting from the rates. So if they were going to use it, but they're now making solar, that's one thing, but you're not getting credited at the rate of utility bill anymore if you're exporting. that's that big thing. That's that 8 cents. And so if you can line up your solar that's only producing when your family is consuming, or you're only consuming when your solar is producing, that's great. You're going to save a ton of money. And maybe you need a small battery to pull that off. But that's that kind of tricky part.
So it'd be more like a hybrid model. Like, hey, you know, like we're not going to go full electric in California. We're going to be probably like this 50-50 hybrid model. Like, hey, you pay $400 now, you can pay us $100, you can pay them $250, and you save $50 a month. And then in 5 years, when the rates go up, you save -50.
Yeah,
I mean, you know,
like I think it's
because the problem is does a buyback rate like go up as they increase their rates for us, or are we just stuck?
a little
You know?
bit, not significantly, but it goes up a little bit over like multiple years. But yeah, I mean, I think part of it is that there's some people who are saying, hey, I'm going to offset your entire bill now. They're not going to say that, but they'll be like, hey, 20% of your bill or 30% of your bill, I can get that taken care of. And so, you know, part of this whole thing is that makes solar more attractive to kind of bigger energy users. You know, if someone has a small home and they're only paying $100 a month for electricity, then they're not going to need, maybe you want to sell them 3 panels, but that's kind of that.
Then
So
the other thing too, with the like mandatory, you know, installs, I don't know if I read it right, but
Yeah.
I read in there a clause that if it's not financially viable anymore, that they don't have to do it. So now this whole January 1st,
so
commercial,
that's so
not gonna matter.
you're hitting on so that's the next big, you're looking at the kind of what's the next big fight. It's like at the end of the Marvel movies where like here's the bad guy for the next thing. So a 10-year payback is commercially viable, is real. That's nice. You know, systems last 25 years. That's great. I think you know, the solar mandate still makes sense for resi and commercial, and the Energy Commission, it's the different commission who put the mandate in, they say that that's going to stay around. And so that's great. I have a feeling someone might say, hey, let's get rid of this mandate, and we're going to have to play defense on that. Like that's probably the big bad guy of 2023, 2024. But yeah, I think you're asking a good question on that one.
I mean, I think their numbers aren't, you know, accurate with the current market either. You know, a 10-year buyback's not real. By current right now with dealer fees, you're looking at like 22-year payback realistically. I mean, I get it. They put their little numbers together to say 9 years, but those numbers aren't real. I mean, it's rough to sell a system right now at $330 a watt financed. Good luck.
That's more of a cash.
Yeah, those are all cash prices.
Assuming a slight increase on.
Yeah, they're saying solar customers buying at $330 a watt, not stuff. Justin Feldman, were you able to?
Cash, everybody's cash.
I think
out.
so.
I mean,
Can you guys hear me now?
Oh,
Yes.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, just quick thank you to this community and to everybody here and to CALSSA for all the work that you're doing. Really appreciate it. Feels like a fight for sovereignty and the people against, you know, the big corporations. So this is a big fight here. I'm curious, you know, what we are. I know CALSSA is focused in California. And obviously this is going to set the standard for other states, but I'm curious, like, obviously we have to start here in California, but I'm curious what we could see. I've started focusing a little bit more on out of state, and I'm wondering what we could see as far as like laws being created in other states, as far as like retroactively taking away compensation from people that already made that shift to solar.
Yeah, so if you're a utility, basically what's happening here is like California is the big fight. This is the main stage. This is the heavyweight match. There's going to be undercard fights like Colorado, all these other states. Stuff like this is coming to you. And the big thing is if we lose here and we lose big because people don't show up, if you guys don't show up on December 1st, and we don't show up, the attack ads in Texas are going to be so easy. Like, even crazy California thinks that solar's too far and we got to stop, you know, like that, you know, like it's going to be such an obvious, like even those guys. And so it's very important to support your state level association. So we as CALSSA, we're an independent organization. We've been around for 45 years. We started Solar Hot Water, fun fact. We still do that work. And so if you're focused on other states, if you're in Texas, things like that, like there are other state level associations, join up. You know, you want them strong today so that they can help cut this off, because the second this is done, that's when you're going to start seeing, you know, state assembly members from Louisiana introducing laws about this is, you know, they're seeing like, okay, if you let solar get too far and the solar industry get too big and people like Justin get too successful and people like Jonathan, like getting so many customers, they're like, oh, this is a lot harder to stop. It's like, it's easier to crush the solar industry when it's teeny. And so if you're doing stuff in other states, participate in those markets, talk to the solar associations there, and yeah, do your part.
But there are thousands of us and fewer utility owners. So hopefully,
Yeah.
you know, if we come out in numbers, I'm wondering what other ways we can also contribute besides financially to your organization. And if we're not physically located in California, are there things we can send, like templates we can send out to representatives, or
Yeah, so if you're
to share on social media?
Yeah, so if you're not in California, the big thing we need is Californians to show up on December 1st. You know, this is frankly, like, we need the news to cover this. We need people to realize this is big honking news. And so getting Californians to show up December 1st is the best thing you can do. The second best thing you can do is get Californians to show up on December 1st. The third thing you can do, get Californians to show up on December 1st. That's the thing. And, you know, it's a funny part about politics. It's like a little bit different than sales. You know, in sales, you're saying, okay, well, what are all the different ways and different angles, and how do I sell this person? Or, oh, I'll just knock on the next door. In politics, it's like, here's the decision maker. We just need to do, you know, just do it once more, louder. So come on out if you're in California. If you know people in California, do that. If you got your old high school friend, whatever, who moved out here to find themselves in Santa Cruz, text them, like, get people to come out. That's what we need.
All right, one last question, Wayne, and then we'll wrap this up, guys.
All right, well, thanks for that. I've just joined and I'm actually from Australia, you know, so I know what has happened here already.
Yeah.
Regarding this issue. We call it a feed-in tariff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gone from say 45 cents to about 8 cents,
Mm-hmm.
and even less. So it's had a huge impact. I mean, in terms of the uptake of solar. I mean, our margins here also have been decimated. So solar has almost been commoditized. But I'm a little bit interested in this because, I mean, even though I haven't even started yet, but I think it has to be turned into a moral argument above all, because I know that the Utility Commission just consists of 5 unelected bureaucrats.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that the whole moral argument from the utility side is that they have to be saddled with the upkeep and the maintenance of the distribution channel, and that's why they can't pay those rates anymore.
Yeah, which is not accurate. But yeah, I think in terms of the moral argument about this, you know, one thing, and I saw some questions asking through this, you know, the utilities in California are many things. And one thing that this is like a really fun game. So the utilities are many things. One thing that they're saying is that they're going to build a lot of solar. They're saying, like, California is not going to not go solar. It's just going to be big projects in the middle of the desert that the utilities own, and they charge customers, you know, 50 cents a kilowatt hour for. There's no space for Bill and Jonathan and Rhett and Mitch and you to be part of that. Don't worry, let the big guys do all this big work. That's their statement. Our point is saying, no, Californians deserve to have their own power over their own power. Like, let's do this, let's have that. And that's the moral imperative. And frankly, you know, we as CALSSA and as, you know, this has been a 2-year fight. We've put every argument in front of them. There's been hundreds of pages of documents, you know, indigenous leaders speaking out in Sacramento. This has been church elders speaking out about how we need to help churches go solar. There's been all sorts of groups out there talking about all sorts of things. And that's great. And we need everyone out December 1st, because at the end of the day, you know, politics is about power. It's about who's got it, who doesn't. It's about people. It's got who's got people, who doesn't. So we got to show them we got the people.
Yep. And so what I was thinking is, I've heard that the utilities in any event are compensated for the upkeep of their distribution channel by virtue of ratepayers actually paying for that.
Yes. So
their argument falls flat. Sorry. Yeah, Karen.
Yeah. So unfortunately, the CPUC doesn't care what you think on this. But yes, their argument, the utilities make for profit based off of building new stuff. And so they don't like when people go solar, there's less need to expand new infrastructure. They don't like that. That's an argument we've made very clearly. We've made it a lot. This has all been very technically done. But as you know, the world is not made out of policies and rules and regulations that make perfect sense and the stuff that doesn't make sense happen. Like, I live in California. Any of you who go to a Starbucks, you see that there's a Prop 65 cancer warning at every Starbucks saying, if you step in here, you get cancer. Most of you probably ignore what that rule that was passed. People are like, that makes sense. Okay. Like, weird things happen all the time. The way that we stop them is by being politically powerful and strong. And so we put out all the arguments. We've done all the smart, nerdy things. Now it's time to get super loud. And so I'm excited to see you all. I'm going to be at the Fresno rally. We're going to have other people at different spots across the state. So I'm excited to see. I've been seeing in the chat folks coming out to Palm Springs, San Diego. So I'm excited to see you all there. And yeah, if you're in Fresno, that's great. And hopefully I'll be interested to see which city represents the best. So let's see what we can do.
Well, thank you, Carter. Sorry to end this a little bit short. I know we're going over time. A huge thank you again for what you're doing, your organization is doing, the fight that you're helping put up, and the work you're doing with Jonathan Budd and Powur. Truly appreciate you fighting for all of our jobs in our industry. So huge thank you. Look forward to see you all at the rallies. Attend the rallies, donate, go out and spread the word with any person in California. Get them to go solar, be your ambassador, get them to attend the rallies. We got to donate and fight this thing. So Carter, huge thank you again, my friend.
Thank you. I'm going to go plan some rallies. See you all there.
All right, go ahead and cuss as soon as we're done recording here.
Oh my.